Welcome back. We are here and with New 72 Media. I'm just very excited about what is about to happen. We have imposed upon award-winning author Cinda Stevens Lonsway to do a version of like a mini live workshop around this healing ritual. And rituals are something that Cinda has expressed being one of the more satisfying and things she loves to do. And as a recipient of several of them, I can say that it's an extraordinary experience. But I'd like to give you a sample of what that is like. So Cinda is going to do a little workshop on the spot around the healing process. And I'm just going to turn it over to you. Run with it.
All right. So I have found that especially when I am speaking around, doing book signings and speaking around it, that there is a craving for healing from trauma. And I have a lot of friends that work in the astrology realm. I don't know a lot about astrology, but they have all said that when they do an astrological natal chart reading on their clients, almost every single one of them consistently has trauma that they need to heal from. And sometimes it could be trauma from past lives, but usually it's trauma and even a forgotten trauma that shows up somewhere on their charts. So basically, I guess what I'm getting at is, if I think I touched base on this, but if we want to be this open vessel to be able to evolve spiritually, to help prevent the destruction of our species, if we want to evolve, then we need to do that spiritually, and we will not be able to be this clear, clean vessel if we're hanging on to the trauma from our past. So, I think I'll go through what I have found to help me, but I think I want to share so there's two stories that I want to share that will lead into this. The first one is that so I've sort of talked about the healing, that the profound ritual of healing that I was guided through with divine love, and how it has helped another woman. I have since offered it to other people, and it has helped them. But the writing process brought on a whole other layer of healing that I wasn't expecting. So I want to share this story. It was in one of my book signings. And so I read a different section from each part of the book, and then opened it up for questions. And one woman in the audience raised her hand and she said, "Well, Cinda, it goes to say that the biggest question is, what do you know now?" And I answer that question in the book, but I didn't want to read from that section in the book because I wanted the reader to get there organically, where they could finally breathe with me.
Sure.
And so I didn't want to, I mean, they all know how the story ends because I'm standing right there in front of them, right? But I didn't want to read that. So I took a second, a moment to just really think about, what do I know now? And in that moment, I realized something really, really profound that is not in the book. And what I know now is that when I used to share my story, and I used to share it all the time, I would share it just enough, right? To make it scary enough. People would lean in, their eyes would get big, and I'd go, okay. And I would share those snapshot memories, right, that I was talking about, and they'd be like, "Oh my God," right? It's a frightening story. But I would travel with this story, and I would energetically feel it in my body until it hit, but right here, right under my rib cage. And the second my story hit that right there by my upper intestines, I stopped. And I knew I had to stop the story, not tell any more of the darkness, and immediately reverse it back to the part where the victim outsmarts the villain and saves the day. And then they're like, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
So it made for a really great story. And, but I knew where to stop. And remember, I had been diagnosed with irritable bowel, I had acne, and I had lost a massive amount of weight that I couldn't afford to lose. When I, immediately after I went through that healing, the profound healing, the IBS disappeared, my skin cleared, and I got back to a healthy, normal weight. And the rage left. The rage was completely gone. One day, side note, one day my son, as a middle schooler, was, he asked me one day, he said, Mom, when did you stop yelling? And I looked at him and I said, I can tell you the exact moment when I stopped yelling. And someday I'll tell you. But the exact moment I stopped yelling, the exact moment when rage left me was the moment that I told Bob I loved him. But so back to this woman that asked me this question. I did a scan of my body, and I realized that for the first time, I could tell my story. I was reading it to the reading sections from this people. I'd written the book. I'd spent 3 years writing it. And, but now I can travel all the way down to my big toe and all the way back up, and there's no more wall. There's no more barrier. I have, because of the writing process, I have totally cleared out this vessel of its trauma. So much so that you and I were talking off the air about that when I share the story now, like we did in part 1, I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember it. You know, the only reason why I remember my story now is because it's in my book, and I've read the book enough now that it's in the book.
Wow.
I've taken it out of me and I have put it on something else, so I could really release it and let it go. That now when I talk about it, I'm trying to remember what feels like the plot of a book or a really good movie that sucked me into it, you know, because it is so not of me anymore. And it doesn't define me anymore. And for those people that are swimming in the suffering of trauma right now, I can only imagine them hearing this going, is that even possible? And I'm here to say, absolutely, yes, it is. Absolutely, it is possible. Remembering that suffering is not meant for pain, it is designed for guidance. And if you are suffering, it's because you are off track, out of alignment, and so far off center that if you go a different direction, which usually means stop running from your pain, stop running from your trauma, turn around and let it catch up to you. Here's the deal, it cannot and it will not hurt you like the original event. And we're so afraid it will, but it has no chance. Wow. No chance. You have already survived the original event. That facing your trauma will not harm you the same way the original event did. Wow. It can't. You've already survived it. So there's that story. And so there is something profoundly important about taking your trauma, remembering it to the best of your ability, doing that time travel like I did, you know, looking above and coming down, and then writing about it, documenting it. And that scares the shit out of people. So here is what I tell them to do, because this is what happened to me. When I heal, when I knew that I had to write, I thought that I had to share my story because of the profound ritual that I was guided through. I thought that that was what I was trying to get at, what spirit wanted me, that voice that called my name in the middle of the night, what they were directing me towards. Share that healing with the world. But then the writing process was a whole other layer of healing that I wasn't expecting, right? And then so then I realized, oh my God, I'm not writing this book for anyone else but myself and that voice. and that seemed to really matter. But during the writing process, I recognized that that healing healed Cinda of her PTSD, but it didn't heal 19-year-old Cinda from the trauma she experienced. Now, the PTSD was a result of that trauma, but the healing, that profound ritual of healing that I thought healed all of me, only healed me of the post-traumatic stress. Cinda, 19-year-old Cinda, was like, what about me? What about me? So when I started to tell her story, she presented herself. And you will notice that in part, what I write my story in present day. So I and now. So here I am now. So everyone is right there with me. And it's really funny because people will forget that I was 19 years old and they will think it happened to me yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Because it reads like it's happening right now. And then, and then same with part two, right? I'm in my early 30s and I'm a mother of young children, and I am writing in the present moment. So much so I wanted to continue writing in the present moment, that when I am talking about writing and I'm time traveling, I am still in the present moment right now, but looking upon my past and living 19-year-old Cinda with 30-year-old Cinda with 50-year-old Cinda all at the same time. But I'm doing that because 19-year-old Cinda presented herself, and she was with me, telling me what to look at, telling me what to look like. Don't forget that, don't forget that, don't forget that. And I realized that she had a voice that had never really, truly been heard. And that this writing process wasn't for 30-something-year-old Cinda. This writing process was for 19-year-old Cinda. Finally, the truth of what happened to her would be heard and would be read. So what I have people do that I work with to heal from trauma is they need to get it out of them. They need to get it out of them. And the best way to do that is through writing. You don't ever have to make it a book, but you have to get it out. And you take your snapshot memories, or flashbulb moments is what some trauma specialists call it. But you take that memory and you write it down, and then you do the deep dive. But you call in the younger version of yourself. You call in and you ask that younger version of Francine, that younger version of Cinda, whoever, and you say, show me, tell me your story, and then you become her scribe. So I became 19-year-old Cinda's scribe. She dictated and I wrote. Wow. And that removed me enough, as if I was writing someone else's story. Wow. But of course it's mine. So if someone that has experienced horrific trauma or minor trauma, remember there's no hierarchy, trauma is trauma, that if they can take a moment, get quiet, set up ritual, light some candles, get cozy with a blanket, whatever, and then call in their younger self. Tell me what happened. Wow. Show me what happened. I am listening. I am your advocate.
Hmm.
I am your advocate. Tell me everything. I will not be afraid. I will hold space for you and I will listen. This is so important. That little younger version of you has finally someone to tell their deepest, darkest secrets to. And you write it all down without any editing, in her own voice, and you just write it out, right? Because, and then if it's multiple traumas, you know, she's probably going to get a little older and she's going to keep coming in. So calling the younger version into the room with you and speaking to her and taking care of her,
That's huge.
and honoring her and giving her a voice once and for all. That way it won't be as frightening to you.
Exactly.
But remember, when I'm working with Mavis, and Mavis would call me out on it and say, you're not safe, you're being too safe, you're not being brave enough, or dive deeper, something isn't right, there's a piece missing, and I would get angry, you know, or I'd get really afraid. Are you yawning? Sorry.
No. No.
It's okay. So we've been at this for a while. It's okay.
We really have, haven't we? Yes.
So anyway, so really quickly, so that's what I highly recommend is, especially if you start to feel scared or start to feel frightened or anxious, you're probably right on track. So don't hesitate, dive deeper and do the work more, and don't be afraid. Don't let your anxiety or your fear or your concern, because like I said, it won't hurt you again. And that younger version of you needs to have a voice, and you are her best advocate. So be her scribe, be her scribe, be her scribe. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing I recommend for healing from trauma. The second thing is that it is very important that someone that you trust and love reads it. Because when we bear witness to someone's story, that's where the healing is.
Sure.
So you put it all on paper, and then you hand it off to someone that you love, someone that you trust, preferably someone that knew you back then, a parent, a sibling, you know, a trusted someone. But you need someone to witness your story. You need someone to read it and go, all right, so now there are two of you that know the truth, this person and you, right? And that is so important to your healing. And once it's out of you, it's out of you. And then how do we separate that psychic cord connection to our perpetrator? So we are really, truly a clear vessel for our spiritual evolution. And there's one story I want to share. There was a friend of mine who was having trouble with her youngest child, and she knew exactly where the trouble stemmed from. She knew it, and it was because when she was pregnant, she did not want the baby. She just, I mean, she got pregnant at a really stressful time in her life. And she loved the child when he was born, loved him, but he was like 5, I think he was 5 years old, and he had a disassociation. They couldn't bond, right? There was something, and he was acting out, and she just knew, and she felt so guilty. So I walked her through the profound ritual of divine love. And we called, in a meditation, we called his higher self. We called the image, like I called Bob. She called her son, her 5-year-old son. And she told him that she loved him and that she has always wanted him. and she sent this message of divine feminine motherly love and encased this baby while he was sleeping.
Oh.
Then she fell asleep, and the next morning, for the first time ever, this little 5-year-old runs down the hall, jumps into bed with her, and goes, "Mommy, you want me, you want me, you want me."
Oh my God.
She
Wow.
calls me in tears, in tears. And she goes, it works. It works. And in that moment is when I realized that my healing that I did with Bob probably healed him too.
Right.
So,
Well, and when you did a matriarchal ritual with me, the next day, children came
right,
to
the
see
next day.
the
Yeah.
next day. Crazy.
So it is when we become this vessel for all that is good, when we become this vessel for the highest good for all, and we channel this divine energy, we alter and change everyone. So if we do it with intention and we send it to those who are worthy of it and those who maybe we might not think are worthy of it, we still alter them. So this ritual can be done with the worst of the worst in your life, or this ritual can be done with the people that you love the most, but they're suffering, and you might, be a part of that.
Sure.
I don't know.
Could
So
happen.
right. But either way, it's usually with the people we're connected to, right? So mothers are usually connected, psychically connected to their children, but also her guilt and her remorse and her wishing she could have done it and behaved differently. All of that is a suction cord. Those lower energy feelings, even with people we love, the worry, the control, just it is all a suction cord. And so to sever that suction cord, but to use it to our advantage first, to be the vessel for divine love, and then send that divine love out. So will you do it with me?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can send it to whoever you want. So you clear yourself up and you send it, and so if I can just ask everybody to just sit and with your eyes closed, feet planted on the ground, breathing at a pace and at a rate that is comfortable for you. Settling into your body, settling into where you sit, maybe wiggling, relieving yourself of any tension, but just really through the breath, calming down, calming down, calming down. I want you to bring to the forefront of your thoughts your perpetrator or someone that you've done wrong, or someone that is suffering, that you feel attached to. Just anyone. You can do this ritual over and over, but one at a time. Bring that person to the forefront of your brain, of your thoughts. And I want you to see them appear in front of you. Don't worry, you're safe. You are completely safe. You are surrounded by an angelic team that has your back. You are completely safe. It is all right that you are sharing energetic space with someone who has harmed you. They are at a distance and they cannot touch you. So you've called them to you and you see them. I want you to remind them who you are. And now I want you to begin to fill the essence of who you are with love. Begin with the love that you know what it feels like, your human love. Begin to fill up with the humanness of love, the good part of human love. And as you start to feel your heart expand, bring in the spiritual component of love, which is unconditional. Just expand your heart. Expand your heart. Feel your entire chest begin to fill with this love. And now open up the top of your head, inviting in the sacred, divine love. Bring it in through the top of your head. Feel it tingle and tingle as it comes and melds and grows what is already love within you. It might feel overwhelming, but that's okay. You might feel it tingle throughout your body, and that's even better. Filling yourself up with this divine love. You are now the conduit and the vessel for this beautiful divine energy. Now this person that you have invited into the room is standing there watching, going, what? But now you are so full of love. You are so full of the divineness. There is so much to share that I want you to visualize it floating out of your chest and into your hand. I want you to see this ball of fiery divine love. You can still feel it within you, but I want you to take God's love, God's love, God's love. And I want you to offer it to the person in the room. You can throw it at him. You can use as much force as you feel it is necessary, or you can hand it to them, or you can press it on their chest if it's a loved one. But you are the deliverer of this divine love. And I want you to see your perpetrator. I want you to see this person accept it. I want you to see them being filled with this love. It is so powerful, it takes them to their knees. It is so powerful, it takes their breath away. You are the one with the power. You are standing there in all of your strength. You are the vessel for the divine. And they are accepting it now. And you watch them as it shoots throughout their body, as they recognize that they too are worthy of God's love, that they could have only been healed and altered at the hands of you. You are their way to grace. You have just shared with them the energy of grace. So now they bow down to their knees, and in tears, they say thank you. And I want you to know that you have severed from them permanently and forever. That you have fulfilled your role, and now you are done. And I want you to look at this person, and if it was someone who has harmed you, I want you to say, I love you, and I never want to see you again. I love you, and I never want to see you again. If this is a loved one whom you feel that you have harmed, just say, I love you. And we are severed and separated energetically, but we still hold each other in our circle of love, in our familiar love. So that's different. So now, if it's your perpetrator, he's gone, vanished, poof, in a burst of light. And I want you to feel the freedom of that separation. Feel the freedom of that separation. Blow out any residual gunk. Let it go. Let it go. If it's a loved one, send them on their way, knowing that they're healed, knowing that they are now experiencing the energy of divine love. And with that, we fill ourselves up with a beautiful divine pink energy, and we know that we have healed ourselves. We know that we are done. Once and for all done. And so it is. And so it is.
So it is.
So I think if they can take this ritual and they can do it with whomever, it's not going to harm anything to do it, and to just work with being this divine vessel of love. And to just, I mean, you know, if we, even if you see a homeless person, divine vessel of love. Divine vessel of love. You don't have to be energetically connected to them, but I believe that with our perpetrators, we are each energetically connected, and we don't want to be. You don't want to be energetically connected to that darkness. So get it out through divine love, heal it, and then love them gone is basically what we're doing. We are loving them gone, and then we are free. The result is pure freedom. And then we become this vessel, this pure vessel for our own spiritual evolution.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. And then you really do you feel differently, like markedly, like completely, crazily altered.
Yeah, you will feel altered if you can remove that darkness out of you. Absolutely altered. And then if you've done it for a loved one to help them find their way, they will be the one that is altered, right? You will have done the work and they will be the one that is altered. You just need to make sure that you are preventing them from that by having a cord to them as well. So yeah, so thank you, Francine, for giving me a chance to do that. It's a beautiful ritual, and I hope that if people do this, try it, experiment with it, that they will let me know in the comments.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to hear. This has been fabulous. I just can't wait to talk about grace. That'll be an upcoming episode, and so many different things. Again, highly recommend Cinda's book. I Know Now, A Woman's Healing, Violence to Victory, Trauma to Truth. And again, all of her other gifts. She said how you can reach her via Facebook, via her website, Instagram. And I just think there's going to be so much more for us to talk about in the days to come. I think our universe is so hungry right now for this kind of healing that this is the tip of the iceberg. And I think that the more we can, you tell two people and you tell and you try it and you talk about it, and it's just going to be exponential in a benefit to our universe. And we do want to evolve because we don't want to die. Nope.
I love you. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This has been the New 72 Media Video Focus with Cinda Stevens Lonsway. I'm Francine Raften. Thank you so much for being a part of our actions and our videos today. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you.